Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Section 214 of BC Lions podcast. I'm your host, Ascent, and I'm just here with my co-host, JS today. Unfortunately, I was wanting this to be a full three-man podcast for the rest of the season and hopefully, for for the whole playoffs. But unfortunately, because of what happened on Saturday, and I'm sure that we'll be talking about that game a lot in detail a little bit here too. But because of that game, Hammer was so distraught and like cried himself to sleep for two straight nights, and he's still feeling pretty bad about it. That's how bad it was. Unfortunately, he can't be here with us today to celebrate the Lions beating the Stampeders in like a thriller game, 33-30 on a walk-off field goal, right? So, man, it was like a I knew it was going to be a very chaotic Saturday for all sports involved in this country, right? And boy, did it deliver. In fact, the least exciting game on the docket was like the Canucks losing to the Wild 5-2. And everything else was just like really tight. Three really tight wins, and oh no, two tight wins, and very very heartbreaking loss. So yeah,
Just totally gut-wrenching the way the Blue Jays lost. They were literally, a couple of inches away from winning the World Series. And yeah, I've watched a lot of sports in my life. I don't think I've seen anything more heartbreaking in my whole life. Just the way that they were close, they were leading most of the game and just completely a kick in the gut.
kicked in
That's
the
all I
gut,
have. That's
and
all I have to
it
say.
was also completed the cycle of absolute American League misery, right? Because it started with the Tigers losing in like 15 innings to the Mariners in Game 5, and then the Mariners lost in Game 7. They had like a 3-1 lead going into like the seventh inning, I think it was, and then it's George Springer hit that game-winning home run to
Yep.
do that, and then the Game 7 for the Dodgers to win, right, in 11 innings when Toronto they had the lead until the eighth, and then they blew it, and then they had multiple chances to win it, and including something like very extremely close to winning, and just poof, gone, right? And even as a fan of a rival team within the division, like I could feel the depression palpable in the air, right? And again,
Just the whole country is broken. I know they're not everybody was cheering for the Blue Jays, but I would say most Canadians were, and
most
people were
Canadian,
pretty sad.
absolutely, yeah. And again, I will admit, in that moment the Dodgers won. Yes, I indulged in the Schadenfreude. I was like, keep your World Series in the '90s, right? And keep it in the '90s. And my dad was also very happy about it too, because he was like on the same page as me, right? Like we don't like Toronto sports whatsoever, right? But yeah, and after that game, he told me, like, as a pure baseball fan, this was like 200% exciting, right? And I I find it hard to disagree with him on that. Like, even as someone who watching this, like, only, I guess, like neutral, but like slightly wanting the Dodgers to win. I mean, I didn't like real. I wasn't like all cheerleading, pom waving for the Dodgers myself. Like, I would have wanted like anyone else in the National League to win that World Series over the Blue Jays, right? uh, but yeah, it's just, yeah, that's the kind of loss that you will remember for the rest of your life. This is
Yep,
like the
no
new
doubt about
addition.
that.
This is like, in terms of, I mean, for Hammer and you, it'd be like it's a new addition to a very sad lineup of Game 7 losses, right? But this one like takes the cake. It's probably the most heartbreaking one, right? Because
because it was
because with
actually
the
close to winning. And, you know, maybe if the umpire calls that run safe at home instead of out, the when the Blue Jays challenged, if the ump calls it safe at home plate, that probably doesn't get reversed either. So just a little bit unlucky.
the decision to call it an out, and yeah, it's just when it's so close, it's like there's no evidence to overturn that call. And it's like
That's what I thought too, yeah.
I knew that wasn't going to be overturned at all, and I was like, man,
But if they called it the other way, it would have been not overturned as well. They
yeah,
just, they got unlucky that the call wasn't
just
made.
and of course, Game 6 was the whole. They were also very close to winning the World Series in that game too. Like they had what was it? They had the tying run, I think it was. And then, well, no, they had a tying one after like they hit a double, but the ball got stuck underneath you know, the outside
Underneath the
wall,
fencing,
yeah, the
yeah.
wall, and yeah, there was controversy about that. But I'm like, that's what the rule is, right? It it's pretty much the same thing in Wrigley Field or any field that has that kind of opening in their walls, right? Like that's it. We got to call it a ground rule double, right? And yeah, and then after that, there was the crazy double play to end the game by Pages throwing it to Freeman at first base, and then yeah, it was just like I was so prepared to for the well, I mean, I'm already like the Orioles are already now like the only AL East team to not play a World Series in the 21st century now. So uh, I was like so prepared to be the lone, you know, just avoid the news for like a week or so, and they're all like celebrating the World Series victory, and then like nope, just turned around in an instant, and now I'm like, okay, good, I can watch the news quickly now because uh, they were talking about all the heartbreak still after the game, right, the day after,
Yeah,
but I'm
that's
pretty
true.
sure the Blue Jays are like going to be out of the news cycle like probably starting tomorrow, and there's going to be a budget coming up for the government too. So, uh, but yeah, that out of the way. Yeah, I guess my final thoughts about that whole uh stretch of games in the World Series. I mean, like, man, yeah, Toronto. I say this as a rival. I say yeah, Toronto absolutely deserved better. They
They
deserve to win
did.
that series, and they just
They did. They
like the
outscored
worst
them.
set
They
of
outscored them 34 to 26 across the whole series. Out hit them
the Dodgers
75 to
hitters.
53. The Dodgers hitters were not good.
They were not good. Otani was like limited pretty well, right?
Yep.
That's and they kept intentionally walking him in the 18 inning game too. I know it's kind of that's a funny thing too, but yeah, like Otani was neutralized, fairly well, and it was just Dodgers pitching that saved the day, including um Yamamoto, right? And another thing about Yamamoto was that I truly believe that the Orioles actually put that into motion to not have Yamamoto replaced by relief pitchers, because on the September 6th game for the Orioles with the Dodgers, Yamamoto had like a no-hitter going through 99% of the game. Then he gave up a hit, and then Dave Roberts, like I was on the last out. They were up 3-0. The Dodgers were up 3-0 in that game, and a no hitter was broken with one out left, and then Dave Roberts yanks him, and then the bullpen proceeds to blow it. Like the Orioles mount like an improbable comeback when they were shut down for like the vast majority of the game. Right. And I think that game was what made Dave Roberts basically banish Blake Trinan and Scott to the Shadow Realm to never pitch in high leverage situations ever again. Right.
True,
Uh
but you know what? It was very good World Series, and
yeah.
a good sports day overall. But let's, as they move on to the football talk, we're happy with the results of both games, and the
I'm not happy
Bombers
with the
finally
NFL result though, but I am happy with the CFL result. So that's yeah, the
the
Packers.
oh, there you go, the Packers. The Bombers were eliminated for the first
Yes.
time since 2018. They will not be in the Grey Cup. First time since
Well,
I was in undergrad that they will
I, I,
not be in the Grey
I
Cup.
yeah, I would say, well, it's the first time they were eliminated outside of the Grey Cup since 2018. They've been eliminated plenty of times in Grey Cup games, but yeah, this is new territory for us, right? I really thought the Bombers would do some devil magic, and they almost did in this game because like Montreal had a massive lead in this game, and then they blew it in the third, and they had just enough. They did just enough in the fourth to snatch a win out of the jaws of defeat, right? Because it was
Well,
looking like Winnipeg was supremely energized in that third quarter, right?
well,
Um,
I'm just reading through your notes here. You said I didn't watch much of it, but I saw Winnipeg, or Montreal rather, went up 17-0 by the end of the first quarter, and
24 to
then
3.
24-3 in the second was
And
25-6 at halftime. Well, not quite 28 or 28-3, but close to 28-3, 25-6. You know why I say 28-3. And then Winnipeg just came back. Did they ever take the lead? I don't think they ever took the lead at any point, but they got
no,
close at the end. It goes 32-27 at the end of the third.
no, Winnipeg did take the lead in
Oh,
the
they
third.
did, huh?
Yeah, they did at one point. It's 27 to
Okay.
25. Yeah. Uh,
Okay,
uh
27-25. But then Montreal pushed back after that and, got the lead again and eventually hung on. I saw right at the end they they managed to run the clock down and kick a field goal to make it a two-score game. And then at that point, I knew that it was over and I started
yeah, we could
celebrating the end
breathe.
of the Bombers dynasty.
Yeah, we could breathe again. I'm like, oh, finally, the demon has been slain. And I've been saying that in the last episode too. Like, yeah. uh yeah. I did, yeah, I did like write pretty much a bunch of notes in this game, but yeah, it was I think without Hammer, breeze I'll just breeze through it, right? Like it was just a complete back and forth game, right? Where just Montreal took a massive lead, and I thought like, oh, there's no way Winnipeg could come back from a 20, like a three possession game, right? And then they did it within one quarter. That was like the pretty much the last gasp of their devil magic right there. Right. That was I got so pissed off when they took the lead like 27 to 25. Like, no, tomorrow I'm like, these guys just refuse to die. And yeah, thankfully, again, Montreal did what they did to Winnipeg in the 2023 Grey Cup, right? They did score just enough to, knock them out again. And yeah, it's just that was one thing I was happy about. And that was before, the game we're going to be talking about now, which is yeah, the
One of
Calgary
the most
BC game
exciting games I've ever watched. It was
in person.
so crazy throughout. Yeah, in person. My first game all year was so stressful. I then probably took a few years off my life, but that's okay. The
Yeah.
Lions beat Calgary at home in the West semifinal for the third time in 4 years. And
And
in terms of I know we've got our gut check plan to what I would have to say, the Lions were pretty slow in the second half for the most part. They didn't produce a lot except in the last couple of minutes. So they really turned it on when they needed to. But like if they play like this next week, they
they're
will
not
get
going to win
clobbered. They
that.
will get
Yep.
clobbered. And it will be over really, really fast.
Yeah, and I was also gonna say, if you didn't watch my like live stream, I also mentioned that Dan JS has got to be like stressing out. He's got no ice cream to eat, unless you
Nope.
want to pay like $10 for a cone or something.
No, not paying that kind of money at the stadium. But like
You wish
it
you had ice
I
cream and
wish I
stress
had
eat
ice cream
there.
to stress eat because like it was just exciting as a neutral fan, but as you know, the Lions who had won 7 straight games, including a all things considered impressive win last week in Saskatchewan. Honestly, this game, despite the win, feels like a bit of a step back in how they played. And I know that's gonna people are gonna call me negative, but that's our job. We're not, we're not an internal
We're
podcast.
realists.
We're realists. We're independent. I can say that. But it felt like it felt like a step back, honestly, especially for the offense who wasn't on the field much. And like,
Yeah, but yeah, they gutted this one out, and I was
yeah,
also like, there was bit, you know, much like the Winnipeg game where they almost well they took the lead, I, the Stamps like tied the game in the fourth, and we're gonna get into like a moment where if they had made that extra point, I think they probably would have won the game,
yeah,
right?
they
Because
probably would have. The Lions got some lucky breaks there, and then we'll get to the
quite a few.
fumble inside the last couple of minutes. So a lot of really good luck for the Lions. But
Good
like
luck.
you're gonna read the stats out here, and they show what I'm saying.
Yes, I will. Yeah, I will put some meat on that bone. Uh, so yeah, Nathan Rourke, he had like a pretty pedestrian game, although mistake-free game. Thankfully, no interceptions at all. So that was good. But no passing touchdowns, and he went like 16 for 22 for 223 yards. So yeah, that's like very significant drop from his season average of yardage, right? But it was a playoff
Yeah.
game. I kind of expected,
And like
just
more than 100, about 140-ish yards less than last week. So like a
yeah.
big drop.
And he only got like 10 yards on average per throw, which is still pretty good. His longest was 29. That was the throw to McKinnis. I believe that was a touchdown throw as well. But
I think it was, yeah.
yeah, and then but he did have a pretty good running game too. He tacked on 68 rushing yards on 6 carries and a touchdown, and his longest was like 44 yards. That was the one he's like spun around a Calgary defender and he ran from 10 or 15 more yards down the field. That was, yeah, he's pretty good for at least one of those, breaking one of those long runs. So, yeah, so yeah, no passing touchdowns but a rushing touchdown, and also Masoli added a short yardage touchdown to that too, and yeah, and now for the running backs, I mean, James Butler only had 7 carries for 25 yards, no touchdowns, and 4 yards on average, and his longest one was 7. So and just like the last game, I mean, it just continues. Like he hasn't. Well, yeah, he did. Wasn't really a game breaker in this one, right? Like we didn't need. Well, I mean, it would be nice to have more of a running game in this one to use, other than Nathan Rourke, right? But yeah. And then Butler also tacked on 2 catches and 2 targets for 26 yards. So it's like, yeah. But the longest catch he did was 24. I believe that was, yeah, it's probably another near the end of the game catch that clinched like first down, right? So,
Hmm.
uh, it's been a couple of days since the game played, so my short-term memories on this game's a little bit fuzzier than it would be if I was like recapping it immediately after or tomorrow, right, or the day after. But yeah, and then of course, yeah, Horvath only had like the 2 carries for 3 yards, so didn't break a big run in on this one too. And like I said, the running
Yeah.
game was pretty much non-existent,
And the passing
and
game was honestly too, like we had no passing touchdowns, no running touchdowns except from the quarterbacks, and then the one special teams touchdown. So like almost very little offense, honestly.
yeah, and yeah, well, we're gonna get into like one form of offense that I was surprised that happened, but uh, but yeah, we'll just go through the receivers next. So McKinnis had 4 for 5, 4 catches and 5 targets for 84 yards, no touchdowns, and yeah, 21 average, and his longest is 29. Hatcher went 4 for 7 for 51 yards, 13 average, and longest was 16. Abel only had the 3 catches on 4 targets for 34 yards, 11 on average, and his longest was 12. Bill Hill 2 for 3 for 22, his longest was 15. Couture only had like the 1 catch for 6 yards. So yeah,
Very pedestrian numbers from the whole team.
yeah. Usually, again, like the receivers are good for like 100 plus yards and most of the games. But yeah, again, because of the playoffs factor, like the Calgary defenders were just really going all out. Like they've definitely proved that they were not the Civ defense that they were like 4 weeks ago.
No, they
Right.
improved a lot, and honestly, I don't know if the Lions deserve to win this game or not. Like, it certainly could
Uh,
have gone either way, and the offense is going to have to be much, much, much better if they want to have a chance to win next week. If they show up like this with these kind of numbers next week, like it'll be over before the first quarter ends. Seriously.
maybe not before the first quarter ends, but I think it'll be over by the third quarter because well,
Yeah.
Nathan Mark did not throw an interception in this game too, so that was like that's a good thing, right?
Sure, that is one positive, but like
Yep.
okay, anyway, move on. I'll stop
Interceptions.
being so negative for now.
Yeah, interceptions are more like it's an immediate oh no thing that
Yeah.
happened, right? Rather than you get like the ball down the field like 1 or 2 first down, then you're done. That's like
Yeah.
a little less in terms of like the oh no factor, but the interception was like an immediate oh my god we're gonna lose in thing. All right, but anyways, yeah, and you know I was talking about Calgary's defense showing up. BC's defense also did show up when it mattered as well. Like they got 4 sacks on the night. That's Betts, Tavai, Alway, and Anai. So 4 different sackers. No interceptions, 1 fumble. And that was a very key fumble, near the end of the game. It's like a minute and 30 to go.
Yeah.
that
One of the plays of the game right there. So like
that that
big.
was pretty much like the Eagles with Brandon Graham strip sacking Brady near the end of the Super Bowl and
Yeah.
against the Patriots. But now it was that level of huge,
That
right?
fumble probably saved the game.
Saved it for us.
Yep.
And yeah, and then Deontay Williams had 8 tackles, and the rest of the team had less than 4. Yeah, just kind of show you how I think
It was
like
spread out.
the second half of the game was like it felt like the tackling was becoming too late, and Vernon Adams was just like dinking and dunking down the field all the time,
Yep.
and it's the tackles just ratcheted up now. So okay, so now the special teams, yeah, Sean Whyte. I mean, like uh, I haven't really thought about a title for this episode, but I think one of my working titles is going to be all the white stuff, right? Because
That's funny.
boy,
Yeah.
he had
He
he
was
had the
clutch.
he had the right stuff today. Like he went 4 for 4 for field goals, including the game winner, and 3 for 3 on extra points. And those like extra points like really came in handy, right?
And those field goals, he kicked two inside the last 3 minutes of the game, which were crucial.
Crucial. And again, if it wasn't for Sean Whyte being like 100% money, again would have lost.
Yep.
Probably in a walk off for Calgary.
Yep.
And yeah, and then Maya punter at 6 punts, averaging 51 yards. And I thought this was incredible. His longest punt was 65 yards, which is I
He
don't
was
think that was
great
a
too.
yeah. I think that 65-yard punt would when they were deep in their own
Deep
territory,
in
and
their
he
own
had
end,
to
yeah.
he had to boot that like very far, and that was that's an underrated part of the special teams. Like when you're that far back in your own zone, and you can just do that, just to like really make Calgary think twice about thinking they're going to score easy points. Um, and now for a kick return game, McGee he did like 6 return catches on special teams, so 3 punt returns for 31 yards and 3 kickoff returns for 92 yards for a total of 1, 2, 3 yards, like 123. That's satisfying. Just and averaged 31 yards per kickoff, as long as it was 55, and 10 yards for punt returns, as long as it was 19. And Robert Carter,
Last but not least.
two kickoff returns for 110 yards. One of them was a 95-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. That's
First one all season.
Yeah, we saw McGee do a punt return touchdown that ended up in a loss, and now we're seeing like Carter. I was worried about that too during the game, where because Robert Carter got that kick return touchdown, and then as soon as Calgary like tied the game, I thought, are we gonna have another game where we finally score like a special teams touchdown and lose again?
Yeah.
Uh, that would have been the ultimate, like pretty much like the ultimate curse for us right there. But thankfully, yeah, again, it was a different person doing the special teams touchdown this time. So I guess the football gods let us off the hook for that one.
They really did.
They sure did. Boy,
And
yeah.
I'll run through the Calgary stats quickly. They tell them much. Honestly, Calgary's offense is better, I'd say, during this game.
Mm,
Adams went 23 for 30 for 334 yards and two touchdowns. His longest throw was 42 yards, 24 rushing yards and three carries. His longest one was 17. Quincy Vaughn as running back had five carries for 15 yards and one short yardage touchdown, or rather he was the backup QB. Apologies there. The running back here, his running back below that. Gotta zoom in. My
mm.
eyesight is not very good. Okay, here we go.
There
Made
you
it
go.
125%. Now it's easier to read. All right. Mills had 14 carries for 111 yards. Longest was 43. No touchdowns. With the receivers, Jalen Philpott had seven catches for 120 yards and a touchdown. Longest 42. Clark Barnes had four catches for 73 and a touchdown. Longest was 40. Dominic Rhymes, four for 66. Longest was 28. Eric Brooks, three for 27. Tevin Jones, two for 23. So, good numbers spreading it around for Calgary. With their defense, Hutchings had two sacks and Brown had one, so that's three. And then with their tackles, the only guy who got more than four was Arnold with five. And then special teams, this is important here. Randy
Hmm.
Paredes, he went three for three on field goals, but two for three on extra points, and that one miss was massive. So we will
Because
talk we will talk about
it
that later.
yeah, because it turned it from a possible winning score to just tying it. But
Yep.
yeah,
And then the set had five punts for averaging 49 yards. Longest punt was 54, one inside the 10. He also went, I don't know how they count. He had one that went for a rouge, so I don't know how they score that, but anyway. And then with their kick returns, Brooks had 10 return catches, a total of 154 yards, an average of 23 on kickoffs, and seven of punt returns. And then finally, penalties. This was a very clean game, all things considered. Four penalties for Calgary for 36 yards. BC had six penalties for 48 yards. So I like to see stuff like that. Not a lot of penalties, but the biggest red flag for the Lions in this game was the time of
oh God,
possession.
yeah, the time of possession. I forgot
Calgary
about
had
that.
36-12 of time of possession. BC had 23-48. That is not acceptable by any means, and that's going to have to be a lot better next week if they want to win. Like,
Well,
of course, it's not fully reflective because BC had a kickoff return touchdown that doesn't get them much credit in this number. But that being said, like that doesn't make up the whole difference here, and that's going to need to be a lot better if they want to win next week.
yeah, and especially when you have, and we saw this in the last game against Saskatchewan. Like even with Trevor Harris operating at like 30% of his snaps, I mean he was like lethal with the ball still, right? And he will absolutely, try and run up the time of possession on BC as much as possible, right? Because he can do that with accurate short throws that will just go for second down conversions all the time, and I'll just, so need a lot less of that because Calgary was doing that to BC's defense in the second half of this game, pretty much, right? It was, yeah, that again, you see the huge disparity in the time of possession. You think, oh, Calgary's probably blown out BC significantly, but nope.
They did
um,
not, and now we can show you what happened with the
yep,
recap. The first quarter was pretty not that exciting for the
yeah,
most part. There's not a lot to talk about in the first quarter. I can kind of breeze through it a little bit. And McGee had a good return with the opening kickoff, brought it all the way to the Calgary 4 yard line, but or not 4 yard line, 40 yard line.
Woody,
But unfortunately, we couldn't do anything with it, and Hatcher he caught it to bring it to 3rd and 2, and we had to kick a field goal to go up 3-0, which was good. And then Calgary on their next possession got penalized for a face mask, which forced them into 2nd and 21, which they flubbed on. Most teams do. And as you put here in your notes, McGee does not follow up his great kickoff return with a good punt return.
No. No, I like being snarky when I do my note taking sometimes with like on both sides of the football. Like, I can be snarky with my own team too, right? And yeah, I was also gonna say yeah, in this first quarter, like, during the live stream of the game that I recorded, like yeah, I was pretty much going back and forth between looking at the TV and then writing down the notes, and then there was I think there was like a couple of things I missed really, but there was like nothing huge, but yeah, but yeah, on Calgary's first drive of the game, they didn't do anything because Adams did basically just yeah, went for got a 2 and out, and then McGee did not follow up the great kickoff, returned it to 42. Horvath only managed like 2 yards on the second down run for a 2 and out punt as Brooks returns the punt to the 23. Yeah, there's a bunch of conversions here, but then Betts forces Adams to throw to nowhere on second down to force Calgary to punt again as McGee returns it to the 22. Procedure is called on BC to move BC back 4 yards on first down because it was like half the distance to the goal. So this is when they were down deep in their own zone. Um,
And then there was
yeah, there's
another punt that quickly came after that because they got one first down from Eberhardt, and then they missed a deep shot to McInnes, and then got sacked, and they had to punt again. And eventually that led to Mills,
kicking
the
in the
Paradise
field
kicking
goal.
a 45-yard field goal,
Oh yeah,
tying it 3-3.
this was after also Adams got sacked. I think it was yeah, he got sacked for a loss of two, but he did get up like limping, and I was a little worried that he was well, in terms of the game, I was like, okay, Adams might be out for some time, but he actually did obviously he did come back and stay in the game, but it was like a little moment of nervousness for Stampeders fans where he was like limping off the field after he got sacked, and it's like, oh, that's something to keep an eye on there, right? And,
Yep. So that
yeah,
basically meant it ended 3-3 after the first quarter. And at the start of the second quarter, Calgary had the ball and they converted on a second down for 15 yards. And they got it to about midfield with a catch from Mills. But then Adams nearly throws an interception on 2nd and 9 and
to
misses
Finlay, yeah.
to Finlay. And Calgary's forced to punt and it goes through the end zone. So they get the lead on the Rouge 4-3. One of these silly new rules they're proposing that would not be a Rouge,
That
but
would,
for now it
yeah.
still is. So
Now,
Calgary
yeah,
took the lead 4-3.
yeah. Now, like without that rule, would Calgary would have been down by four, right?
It's true.
And
Anyway,
they would have needed a touchdown. So,
it's true.
anyways,
As a result of that, BC got the ball on the 40, and McInnes made a catch for 30 yards on the ensuing play, and then Newark got sacked twice after that, but Calgary gave BC a gift with an illegal contact penalty, and I remember saying to the folks I was with at the game, you got to you got to make your opponent pay when they take silly penalties like that, make them pay. And the Lions did when Rourke threw it to McInnes deep to convert for 20 yards on second down, and then Hatcher made a second and
taking a
7
seven.
catch
Yep.
to get this into a first and goal situation, and then eventually got it down to the 1 yard line, and Masoli sneaks it in from 1 yard to make it 10-4 after the extra point, and BC had the lead.
That's a Texas size 10 for a good buddy. That's a Letterkenny reference right there. uh, yeah, yeah. We're happy about that, and I'm thinking like, okay, 10-4 lead. Yeah, we finally got off the snide in terms of touchdown struggles, and It was like that with the Saskatchewan game too. It took a while for BC to score like their first. Actually, no, it was the game before that because they scored on like the first play of the drive. Never mind, I'm mixing up my games, but yeah. So 10-4 lead, and then Brooks returns the kickoff to the Calgary 40. Brooks converts on a 10-yard run from a misdirection play design. There was a bunch of passes backwards, all that for only like a 10-yard run. Um, Clark catches and converts on 2nd and 5 for 25 yards after a missed tackle. Jones catches for 9 yards to help the short yardage convert for 3. But an incompletion, like this was like just like in the Saskatchewan game, Benavides actually does another great timed blitz to like prevent Adams from throwing it, setting up the pass, and it falls incomplete, and that forces well he got sacked for a loss of 10 this time instead of having to throw it, right? But it did force Paradise to kick the 40-yard field goal to lessen the BC lead to 10-7.
And then
Um,
BC, where we took the ball over at the 40, and we did eventually get a field goal on this drive. Butler ran for 6 yards on first down. Eberhardt made a 13-yard catch, and then after there was an injury timeout, Hatcher made a catch for 13 yards, and then Rourke threw to him again. A few plays later on 2nd and 8, it was incomplete, and then Sean Whyte comes out with for a 39-yard field goal to make it 13-7 with 43 seconds to go. And I have a little
too easy.
rant here about Calgary's clock management
Yeah,
because
this is like the first real sign of trouble for Calgary. Well,
it's a
actually, no.
sign of good luck for the Lions because
Good luck for the Lions. Okay, yes,
basically what
because
happened was Calgary was, I don't know, on their own 10 or
they,
15-yard line, and
yeah, they were on, well, no, they got to the BC 42 uh
then
after the field
they called
goal.
the timeout with 17 seconds on 2nd and 5 and got to about the 15-ish yard line, and there was 8 seconds left, which if you hurry is more than enough time to line up, get a quick play off. If that fails, kick a field goal. But what they did, they took a nice sweet time to throw the ball, threw it into the end zone incomplete, but they ran out of time, which complete, like, benefits the Lions, but totally baffling. They left 3 points on the board, and
Is
guess what? They lost by 3 points.
is Matt Eberflus coaching the Stampeders somehow or what? Because this is Chicago Bears level of awful clock management from last year. And I'd say, well, that was still worse because the Bears lost the game on taking like their sweet time to get a play set up, right? And not not winning, right? But even this was just as inexcusable, right? Like you had 8 seconds. You could just like take 4 seconds. You can like find a quick pass and still stop the clock. And then Vernon Adams just tries to do hero ball mode, and it was also the throw was almost intercepted as well, right? But it wouldn't have mattered even so, right? But
Yeah, so just
it
really,
was
really poor
wow. I
from
I
Calgary.
was in the live stream. I was laughing so hard about that, right? I was like
If that was the Lions doing that,
dumbfounded.
I would have vented about that for probably 20 minutes. But long story short, every time you leave points on the board, it can come back to bite you, and they lost by 3 points. So what does that tell you?
Or well, yeah, they lost by 3 points, and I mean, they could have like got a touchdown if they had played it even smarter, right? Like had like
Exactly.
you
So
know,
if all else is the same and they get some points out of that, who knows what happens. But anyway, moving on to the second half now.
yep,
I can give a little bit of a recap. Pierre Brooks received the second half opening kickoff, and Awe sacked Adams on first down, and Calgary decided to run on 2nd and long for whatever strange reason after that.
yeah.
And
Running players on 2nd and long is weird to me.
another
If
strange
they was waving a
decision,
white flag, yeah, they were waving a white flag on that drive for
literally
sure.
another strange decision, which resulted in McGee returning the punt to BC's 46. And this led to Rourke running for 40 yards after he snuck out to the left side
That's
and dodged a few tackles.
Josh the dude, and
And
that got
then,
everybody up. I had the TV muted the whole time, but I could tell the crowd was getting so fired up after that run.
oh, it was great in the stadium. It was fabulous. It was
Yeah,
on my side of the field too. And then immediately after that, um, Rourke faked out the Stamps D line again and ran it in for 12 yards for his only rushing touchdown of the game to make it 20-7. And, we still felt okay at that point, but not fully because Calgary came back on the next drive and got a touchdown.
And this was what I was worried about, right? I even said it after the 20-7 touchdown. I said that's gonna probably wake up Calgary, and look what happens, right? But
The
guess
rest
what?
of the game was mostly Calgary. Phil Potio made a diving catch in the end zone for 32 yards after the drive to get to 20-14, and you stopped taking your notes for a little bit, but of course
Because of dinner.
you didn't forget
Yep.
about Carter's 95-yard kickoff return touchdown, which got
And
everybody on their feet. It made it 27-14, and I felt good about it at that point. I thought, you know what? They haven't had a kickoff return touchdown in
forever.
what feels like decades is probably in reality only a season or two.
No,
But
or 3 years. I'd say probably 3 years. If I
yeah,
could
well, for a
guess,
kickoff
hazard a
specifically, but
guess.
like a special teams play, quite a while.
Yep.
And that made it 27-14. But unfortunately, Calgary did come back, and we've got some detailed notes for the last 3 minutes, so we'll go through that. But Calgary got one touchdown and then another touchdown drive. They were lining up to punt on 3rd and 3, but BC jumps offside. So just like Calgary took a stupid penalty to extend a drive, BC does the
We
same,
do
and
it. Yep.
Calgary also made them pay, getting the touchdown to tie it at
That was
27. But this is the TSN turning point, as they say.
yes.
Rene Paredes misses the extra point that would have given Calgary the 28-27 lead.
And not only that, I mean, with the way the score went, it could have been a game-winning field goal situation instead of them just content with tying the game twice, right? But yeah, this was I'll also say like after that special teams touchdown by Cotto, like I thought the microphone didn't pick me up like screaming. I thought it was McGee that was doing that touchdown. Like, I didn't know it was Cotto until like I saw like his a second angle of him running, right? So I'm like, oh, well, there you go. And then yeah, and then of course like the offside penalty after for the punt that helped Calgary convert. That I knew that was going to be like the world's most predictable touchdown that was going to be scored. And yeah, and then I
Sorry, can we
actually
take a
missed.
quick break? Can we take a quick break for a second? I just heard
Oh
something I
yeah,
gotta check out.
okay, we're back. Yeah, sorry about that. JS's wife had a little bit of an oopsie in the kitchen, so
Oh well. All good.
yeah, well, good. But yeah, we're almost at the end of the game. But yeah, as I was gonna say, like I actually didn't see Paredes miss that extra point. I assumed he was gonna make it. It was gonna be a 28-7 lead, but
Oh, you didn't even watch, you just
I
assumed?
didn't I didn't see it happen. Like I looked back at the TV and went, oh wait, why is it 27-27 TSN? Did you glitch out again? Nope.
It took you a second to realize you missed it.
I kind of I I don't like this about myself. I just assume something's gonna happen and then it doesn't. I just
I mean, to
but
be
yeah,
fair with him, that's a fair assumption. For many years, he had the longest consecutive field goal streak in league
yeah,
history. So that's a fair assumption. But anyway,
assumption, yeah.
a huge miss. And
Huge
it
break.
really, like I was there, it really woke the crowd up because what happened after, well, didn't wake the Lions up quite yet, but because BC gets the ball back
Yep.
and they were on their own 5-yard line. And unfortunately,
That was
BC
dangerous. Yeah.
very, very dangerous. BC had to punt from their own
After this
15-ish yard line after he got
Yeah, after the
sacked.
3 minute warning, that was
Yeah.
like yeah, you get sacked for a loss of 7 and it forced them to punt it at 30. And then this is like the next crazy massive moment for BC because Brooks like catches it, but then like a timely punch to the ball and he
From
fumbled it
Poissant.
where
He,
Sutton recovered it at the 32. I was going crazy. I was like,
oh, we all were in the
oh,
stadium. Like,
we,
that was just massive. Like, I really felt that Calgary was going to win the game. Getting the ball with minute and a half to go, they would have been able to get into field goal range, run the clock down. But BC punches the ball, and that saved the game. Even if it didn't guarantee they won right away, it saved the game because BC took over with minute and a half or so to go.
and
And
I was thinking, oh my God, they're gonna score.
even though they didn't waste all the time left, they still took the lead. Like, Buck Pierce had to challenge a play for pass interference, and I thought it was worth the challenge, but I didn't think they were going to overturn it, and they didn't.
Yeah, it was kind of like well, there was even in the Winnipeg game there was like some desperation challenges there too, but yeah, this one had like two desperation challenges, but it was up for two teams that were tied, right? It was kind of funny.
Well, it made sense too because if he
Yeah,
gets the call, they get an automatic first in with a minute and a bit to go.
and get
They
more and more
probably
time to kill, yeah,
they probably could have killed the rest of the clock. So I say it was worth it. But anyway, it
but
didn't
didn't
work
work.
out. So White kicked a 42-yard field goal to make it 30-27. BC with a minute seven to go in the game. And at that point, I was still worried that Calgary was going to win because they got the ball up to their own 37 on the kickoff.
Brooks doesn't fumble it this time on the kickoff.
No, he doesn't.
No,
I was hoping
I
he
was,
would.
I was trying to manifest it. I was like, I was texting the screen and everything, right? And I was thinking about it, but no, didn't
And
happen.
then Philpott caught an amazing deep pass, and I think it was
Oh,
double coverage to make it to the VC 31. And I thought, okay, here we go. There's
oh,
40 seconds to go.
my
Calgary
heart was
wins.
in my throat on that one. Like, I'm like, oh my God, you're not gonna break my heart, please.
But it didn't happen. Adams went incomplete twice, and Paredes went up for his next kick, his first kick
Yeah,
since missing the extra point, and he made it.
which is like inconceivable there too, because again, like Adams didn't need to do that, right? He didn't need to like throw to the end zone. He could have just again shaved off a lot more time. And if you're gonna tie the game and send it to OT, you could do it there. But if you
Yeah,
left time on the
that was
clock,
poor strategy, honestly. Yeah.
you you
Even if
left
they
29 seconds.
even if they tie the game with no time left on a 10-yard field goal, that's better than what happened. And what did happen is, Berryhill made a catch for 17 yards with about I think there was like
15.
15 seconds to go in the game, and the Lions did not have a timeout left, but they managed the clock effectively. They got up to the balls. I think they were a little bit beneficial and run the second to last play. The referees were a bit slow to blow the play in. So that helped the
Hmm.
Lions out there too. But anyway, they took advantage of it and got down to the
From
35-yard line.
McInnes catching for 35 yards with 3 seconds left.
There was time on the clock, and then Sean Whyte
Oh,
kicks
oh,
his second 42-yard field goal in
good,
67 seconds to win the game,
good
33 to
with
30.
one. Yes. Oh my goodness. I could feel the relief just wash over me after that. Was like, oh, and actually, and if can you imagine if that was missed too, and it would have been like walk off rouge instead? Those,
Or one of those like kick out plays, or they return it out of the end zone and go to overtime. So many things could have happened if he had missed it, but he makes it easy for us. He puts it through, and the Lions win, and they head off to the West Division final next week in Regina.
Regina on November 8th at 3:30 this time. I thought it was 2:30, but it was a little later.
Well, no, the game was the semi-final was supposed to be at 3:30, but they moved it an hour early because of the Blue Jays.
Yeah, oh, just like every other.
I honestly thought business-wise for the CFL, they should have moved the entire slate of semifinal games to the Sunday just so they wouldn't be competing like that. But you know what? It was a great game and the Lions won, and now we can briefly look ahead before we wrap up for the day.
It was
Look
an
ahead to the
all-time, yeah, that was an all-time thriller of a playoff game, right? I was like
absolutely,
glued to my seat. My eyes were glued to the screen, and your eyes were glued to the field the
literally.
entire time. And it was tough for me, like even during the dinner break in between the third and fourth quarters, like I couldn't really like eat as I wanted to eat as quickly as possible, but I was so nervous. It was uh man, it was just we're fun, we're alive for another week, and let's hope we can get that revenge against Saskatchewan, because if we play like this against Saskatchewan, if we play like this like we did last year against Saskatchewan in the playoffs,
We will lose.
100% they're gonna lose.
Yeah, so like
Uh,
based on where we see right now, BC is coming off the emotional high of winning, whereas the Riders have been mostly on cruise control for a month. So there's the whole rest versus rust
yeah,
idea. But I would have to say Saskatchewan's probably going to win. I'd say a 10 to 14 point game. Saskatchewan will win, is my prediction right now.
I'm gonna say BC is gonna win by 20.
Oh wow, you're
Mm,
really putting all the chips in there.
yeah, I think it's going to be BC versus Hamilton in the Grey Cup. It'll be a cat bowl if I just put a GIF in the group chat with like two cats like playing with a ball. Right, that's the Grey Cup for me. uh,
And
it
then
would be a good story, right?
it sure would.
It's basically just two teams who have like not won the Grey Cup in forever going up against each other, just like it was for Hamilton and well, yeah, yeah, Hamilton and Saskatchewan in 2013 as well. So, uh, you know, and also, yeah, Saskatchewan is also looking for the first Grey Cup appearance since 2013 as well, right? So
So
that was the last time I, well, that was when I went to their Grey Cup to see them win, right? So I'm hoping that I don't want to see them win a Grey Cup when I'm sitting here at home, right?
so basically it's the two
Yeah.
teams in the West with the longest droughts in terms of Grey Cup appearances. Whereas,
Yeah, in terms of
Saskatchewan,
the time, the time between Grey Cup appearances, yeah, just and
Saskatchewan was close in 2017 when they lost the East Final on a last minute touchdown in Toronto. But other than that, BC has never been that close since then. But you know what? It should be a
yeah,
good game. And then I guess moving on to the Eastern Final, Montreal and Hamilton, I would have to say I would give Montreal the advantage here because they played a really good game last week. Hamilton is not miles better than Montreal.
but never
So,
never count out Bowley by Mitchell at any point.
nope.
Like 'cause we counted him out pretty much like for season predictions. We all put him at last place, all put Hamilton at last place, and they shot up to first. Like it was no big deal. Right? Just uh, yeah. So doubt Bowley and Mitchell at your own peril. And if we do get Hamilton versus like BC or Hamilton versus Saskatchewan and the Grey Cup or Montreal, like a combination of any of it's going to be like a
Any of them
fun
will be
three
great
games.
matchups.
It'll be a
Yeah,
fun like three games, no matter what the results are.
to
I'm
wrap up
sure.
a great year for the league.
Yep.
Anyway, I think that's all we got for our show this week.
Yeah, it's actually a fairly again, I was hoping that Hammer would come in and we would talk about the Eastern Conference semifinal game in a lot more detail when I had written the notes, but that's going to be for next week because I'm sure he will, he'll probably taken a lot of time to get over that Blue Jays game seven loss. I mean, it's still like really painful, but it's like, you have enough of a distance away from it going like, okay, I gotta focus on the good now. Like, look what's
Yeah,
happening right
hopefully
here, right?
he'll get there.
Yeah.
Right now, I want him to take care of himself, and I'm glad that he's doing that. And
Yeah,
hopefully we'll see him next week.
and we'll hope we'll see you next week, and I'll be doing a live stream for the Western final too. So I'm sure you guys will just will see how I like react to games because I got very loud. Right, it was quite an experience for me to be doing that for the first time to be doing a live stream for the first time on this channel. Right, and I'm glad it was a win, and I'm hoping that it continues for the eighth. And yeah, I'm jacked up. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's get some revenge on the Melnats. Let's
I am
smash
so
them.
ready for that.
Let's get some revenge. So yeah, so that's gonna be it for the episode today. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and you can reach us on our socials in the description box on our Instagram, X, and um, Blue Sky accounts. And of course, for long form messages you want to send us to tell us, what your prediction for the conference finals is going to be, even just email us at section214@gmail.com. That's SECTIONTWOFOURTEEN@gmail.com.
Good job
And
spelling that out. I wouldn't be able to do that. I've
yeah,
had a long day.
yeah, me not so much. I slept in. I've got a lot of energy today, so and we're gonna have a lot of energy for Saturday. So
I think you
Yeah.
will.
We'll see you on oh yeah, no, sort of Canucks won too, so that's good.
They did.
uh yeah.
They won.
So
Brock Besser, overtime winner. There you go.
Brock Besser, one of my favorite players on the Canucks. So yeah, we'll see you on well, probably Sunday morning because we're likely going to be recording the night of the game. So yeah,
We'll see
but
you
we'll
all
see you
next
on the
week.
weekend no matter what. We'll see
Bye,
you then.
folks.
Bye bye.